Hey, everybody, welcome back to the GradCentric podcast. It's been a little while since my last episode, which was published last year, but I've decided to resurrect this podcast at least for a few more episodes based on the massive changes that have happened in the student loan space in just the last few months. And one of the main things, as you're probably aware, that's happened that is a big change in student loans is the Supreme Court striking down student loan forgiveness. And this has sent a lot of clients my way, a lot of questions my way for student loan borrowers that are wondering what to do next. And in particular, interest starts to accrue on federal student loans in September. We're going to have to start making payments in October. And so many borrowers are thinking, what should I be doing at this point? And I would direct you to an article that I wrote for the Kansas City Star. So if you Google my name, Jason Anderson, and you put Kansas City Star right after that, you're going to find a article that I wrote in July. I think it was July 13th of 2023, talking about what the next steps are for many borrowers who are starting to think about these things. And so, a couple things to think about. One is potentially an income-driven repayment plan. There's been some research out there that many individuals who are starting payments again in October have reallocated those funds elsewhere, don't know how they're going to make payments, and that can be, as you can imagine, a very significant challenge. So, for those of you that are in that scenario, wondering where the money is going to come from, and it's really not there to allocate at all, you might want to look at an income driven repayment plan. And that's actually going to lead to some future podcast episodes where we're going to talk about the SAVE plan, which is a new income driven repayment plan that has been put forth by the Biden administration. And a piece of those initiatives are going to happen before payments restart. At least that's what we're being told. And a piece of the SAVE plan will be implemented over time after payments start. But a new episode will be all about the SAVE plan, give you some details there because that's a pretty significant change as well. So anyway, there are income-driven repayment plans on the books now. Some of those are going to change. Some of them are going to close enrollment because the new SAVE plan, revised pay-as-you-earn, is going to become the SAVE plan in the future. So lots of change there, but there are income-driven repayment plans, and those may give you payment relief, the payment relief that you're looking for. So I would encourage you either engage a student loan planner like myself or look at the loan repayment simulator that is on the Department of Education's website. You can actually log in, it will use your information, and it will give you different scenarios given different income driven repayment plans. So that's one thing to think about. The second is to budget. And this isn't a financial planning podcast. There's lots of good information out there on budgeting, but you may have to revisit the budget. You may have to carve out some money that you've maybe allocated to other things during the pandemic that now should be used towards student loan debt. It's an important thing that we all have to address in our lives, whether paying down or going for forgiveness, going towards some type of forgiveness program or an income driven repayment plan, and maybe going for long term loan forgiveness. In any scenario, a lot of us have to allocate a significant amount of money to student loan plans or student loan debt. And sometimes that's based on a student loan plan. Sometimes that's based on priorities or necessity, whatever that looks like. But lots of changes there. And I would encourage you to certainly revisit the budget after a few years of being given forbearance, be it through this COVID-19 initiative that we've talked about in previous podcasts. And the final thing, I've mentioned it briefly, is just forgiveness opportunities. So if you are specifically in teaching, if you were in public service, if you work for a government entity, if you were in the military, there are many, many programs out there for loan forgiveness, either to incentivize people to take specific jobs or to incentivize economic development, to incentivize a number of different things. And so we do have a lot of loan forgiveness programs out there. Perhaps you would qualify for some of that. I certainly would look into some of those programs and other initiatives that the federal government has instituted recently to help people. When I say federal government, also state government, but the federal government in particular has instituted to essentially help people with their loans from a forgiveness perspective. Finally, I would say one more thing, and this is going to be a future podcast episode as well, but there is a program out there called the IDR Payment Adjustment Waiver, or something along those lines. I probably messed up the exact legal term that it is given, but it is essentially the IDR Payment Adjustment. And this is a limited time program, much like the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Waiver Program, that has specific perks and benefits and will lead to significant forgiveness. So, again, a future episode on that. But that is an amazing opportunity, especially for people who missed out on the PSLF waiver that we've talked about in previous episodes. So, again, I'm welcoming myself back to this podcast because I think there are a few episodes we need to do, at least a few, to get people back up to speed with many of the things that are happening in the college and student loan planning space. And if you have any specific questions, you can always email me at jason@gradmetrics.com. And I look forward to speaking with you. Thanks so much. We'll see you on the next episode.